It started recording. What is that in your hand?
This is like a screen cleaner.
Okay. I always see that, but I've never used it.
This is a child's device, and it's got Corona all over it.
Right, okay.
And we do a bit of that. And actually, you know what? It was a decent investment because it does the job. Doesn't leave any smears. Just nice.
Affiliate link in the description.
We are not sponsored by this at all.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, bro. Yeah. You know what? Before I forget, I did my usual kind of spreadsheet with all the charities and the links in it. So for those who don't know, every year usually I make a spreadsheet where it's got the name of the charity, the description, and then what else does it have? It has a link to just go and click and donate straight. So you don't have to. The idea is that, especially in the last 10 days, in the last 10 nights, especially in places like the UK, you have so little time to go and look for charities. I remember I used to find myself spending half an hour just like looking like, okay, should I do this? Should I do this? Are they good? Are they this? Or even just searching. Like sometimes you come across stuff on social media and then when you want to go and donate, it's like you can't find it. So I do a spreadsheet, and it's also got information like is it zakat eligible or not and stuff like that. So it's published yesterday. I did a little video just explaining it. So I'll put the link to that in the description, inshallah. Whether you're on YouTube or audio version, you should find a link to that. And yeah, please make use of it. There's a few new ones I put.
You're 100% condoning these charities. Is that what that means? 99%.
Yeah, I think so, bro. There are some that obviously it's not like I've been into these charities, but it's like I'm a little bit on the stricter side. So if I am happy giving to them, then that means something, I guess. And then some of them I haven't ever given to myself. I might not know them, but I took from this post that Abu Isa wrote. Sheikh Abu Isa Ni'matullah, he made a post of charities he recommends, and he is also like very strict, and also he probably has some inside information of how they operate. And so again, if he says that this is, for example, this is okay for zakah, or if he says, you know, this is good sadaqah, like I recommend it, and he's got a reputation to uphold as well. So if he's saying that, then again, I added some of those, which I don't know them personally, but because of his like reputation being on the line and his knowledge and his strictness, I personally would trust those recommendations as well. So I added those, but I've highlighted which ones I got from him and which one I put as well.
I haven't had a chance to open it. Let's have a quick little peruse. Have a little preview for the high spenders.
I always try and put stuff there that is a bit more like long term as well, because we've talked about that on the podcast, isn't it, bro? Like donating to long-term things, donating to stuff like media. We complain about Muslim media not being strong enough, so then we have to support them, right?
Right, so you've got about 23, correct?
Could be. Really, is it that many?
Yeah, 23.
So you can like take your pick, really, innit?
Wow, look at all of this. Oh, and you've got the zakah ones at the top, and you've got all sorts of organisation skills. Wow. You should find a way of trying to put that just on the Mind Heist website. You could keep that up all the time.
Yes. I did find myself deleting some from last year, though.
Oh, why is that?
Sometimes they're just time sensitive, you know. And there was one or two, like I removed National Zakah Foundation, okay. And I can't tell you why I did it precisely, but I just felt like I don't know.
I'm bored of this now.
not so much like that. It's just like, because me personally, I don't think I would give to them, so that's why I removed it. So this very much is a statement by myself saying I would give to these. So if I wouldn't give it, I can't leave it there, you know.
Oh, Hadith Disciples on here as well.
Yeah.
Man, I'd never even thought about that.
He's got a Patreon and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's one of the looser ones, I feel, because it's not like he has specific needs that he's mentioned. But I just feel like, look, if we can make Mufti rich, that's a better world. That's a better world to
Oh my
live
god. Allah Mustaan. Allah Mustaan. How is Ramadan over there now? What's going on?
in. It's good, bro. Like, bro, it's full spring, bro. It's amazing.
Alhamdulillah. Brilliant.
I keep saying this again and again. It feels like Algeria.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a combination of the climate, because for me, Algeria is like summer / like autumn, because that's the only time I've been there. So I associate that kind of weather, the climate, of course, Mediterranean climate, and then also the long days. I kind of associate that with Algeria, because Algeria in the summer, have long days, like Europe and stuff. And then also like just like the type of stuff you can buy, the smell. Sometimes you smell like just like peppers cooking. Like in Algeria, like Mediterranean, we use a lot of peppers. So really start making me think of that. And I'm enjoying the long days. Although in Ramadan it makes it longer to fast, but when Ramadan's over, like that period between Asr and Maghrib, it's like so long, and it's like my favorite time of day. I think like I like to. I don't know, like even just sit on balcony and drink coffee at that time. Like it's just, I like that time.
What time is Maghrib over there?
It's about 8:10.
That's more or less the same as here.
Yeah, it's quite similar. I think the total fasting time difference between UK and here is literally, you guys fast 20-30 minutes more. That's it.
Alhamdulillah. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying. Like the shortness of the night is very annoying, because I think now, especially for the last 10 days, and alhamdulillah I've got the luxury to do this, is I'm gonna actually not sleep in the night because it's just too short. And I try, and what I do, bro, is I'll sleep after Isha. I'll try and wake up to pray Taraweeh, later, after I wake up, and there's just no time. Like I'm not getting enough time to like do, for example, the Taraweeh, or do the full Taraweeh, or like read Quran. Like I was thinking to myself, after Fajr I was reading my Quran, right? I'm thinking, why am I reading this after Fajr when just before Fajr it could have been Laylatul Qadr and stuff?
Yeah.
So I should have shifted that to the night time, which is what I'm going to try and do now, which is stay up for that time, and then I guess sleep after Fajr, or sleep a little bit, like wait a little bit and then sleep after Fajr, something like that.
But does that mean Laylatul Qadr is isolated just to that last third of the night, or can it just be the whole night? Surely it's the whole night, no?
It's the whole night, yes. But between Maghrib and Isha, I don't find time to do anything.
No.
So the night is literally limited to like Isha to Fajr.
Well, may Allah allow us to reach it if we haven't already missed it or reached it.
Yeah. I was thinking, bro, it's like, like if you gamble, may Allah protect us. If you gamble, there is 0 chance you're going to win, right? I mean, there's whatever, you can calculate the probability, but there's a very low chance you're going to win. But with Laylatul Qadr, it's not like a gambling where you can buy every single ticket.
Yeah.
But with Laylatul Qadr, it's not gambling. It's literally, you just worship hard for 10 days and you'll definitely, worship during that night, Laylatul Qadr, So, like, if you think of the mercy that Allah has given us in the fact that we know for sure is in the last 10 days, the last 10 nights specifically, I mean,
easy money.
yeah. Alhamdulillah, man. Alhamdulillah. But yeah,
oh my
bro,
God.
it's just that spring, it's that summer thing, bro.
That's a vibe that we're missing right now. Bro, it was so windy and stormy last night that I parked my car and we tried to open the doors and the doors almost swung off. It was so windy.
Wow.
So, yeah, weather's taking a turn down here. But you know what I said to my wife? I said, alhamdulillah, there was a time where it was Ramadan, heat of the summer, and you were just thirsty all day, really struggling. Yeah. So, alhamdulillah, it's just, getting easier by the year, inshallah.
Yeah, last few days here, it was like it went up to 28 degrees, 27 degrees, and actually stayed that hot for the whole day, like until close to Maghrib. So I was thinking, damn, I didn't expect that. But now it's gone down. Now it's like more like 20, 21, which is kind of perfect. So I think that's kind of the temperature it stays at around here even throughout the summer, it won't get that close to 30, I don't think. But down south in Turkey, I think that's where you're gonna find 35 and stuff like that. Yeah, it's very good, man. Alhamdulillah. Mediterranean, bro, it's the best region in the world.
Definitely. Oh, bro, you got me missing it. Wallahi, you got me missing it.
If you wanted, could you go to Tunisia now, or is it open? Or
I don't know. I really don't. I don't think it is. No, I don't think it is. I think you need like a good excuse.
Is that on Tunisia's side or UK side?
I think it's on Tunisia's side.
Right.
I think you need to have a very, very good excuse and apply for all this other stuff, and then they give you like a 14-day quarantine thing and all this other palaver. I don't know when things are going to go back to normal, bro. I was looking at
Algeria's been closed for a year.
Oh yeah, I heard actually Algeria's been closed. My father-in-law's there now. He's been there for a while, so I don't really know how he got there or when he got there. Oh, I think he went there. No, I think they were open at some point. He went there, then they closed it. Allah knows best.
Yeah, man, that'll be like if I don't go this summer, that'll be another year without going. Like, it's been too long.
May Allah rectify our affairs, akhi. Bro. Looking at the views out in India right now, it's crazy. And when you've got such a rampant sort of rampant spread of COVID like that, it really does increase the chance of like mutant strains developing, which then become less resistant to vaccines that we've already have, and then it could just start off all over again. So we have to try and stay on top of it, inshallah. But even here, like, things are getting a little more a little less locked down, so to speak.
Yes.
But Allah knows best. This happened last year, didn't it? They relaxed everything and then it kind of started off again, and in the winter it shut down again. So Allah knows best, but we shall see. Anyway, enough COVID talk, bro.
Let's have a look at that COVID party thing you mentioned.
That's what I mean. These are the people that cause the problems. All right, there was this not mine heist, Curious Cat question we got about 12 days ago.
Okay. Did we not get any Mind Heist challenge entries?
I haven't checked the email, no. How do you self-regulate and remain grounded when your emotions overwhelm you and threaten to uproot your entire nervous system? Would love some tips. Threaten to uproot your entire nervous system. That sounds like some Mortal Kombat move, that. Oh my goodness. Go on, I mean, you're the master.
I'm the stoic.
Remaining grounded and not letting your emotions overwhelm you. That is what you're known for.
Is it?
Apparently.
Okay. I don't know, man. I'm just that's just the way I am. But I think
exactly. It is
what I've heard anyway. What I've heard, because I haven't particularly done any like work on this, but what I've heard is like stuff like meditation, or something similar to meditation might be something that would help with this. Like meditation being just a time when you're not stimulated. So it could be when you're praying, it could be when you're reading Quran, it could be when you're reading a book, even like when you're really into the book. It could be when you're doing your adhkar, it could be when you're just sitting outside and observing rather than thinking and analyzing. If you can do that stuff regularly, I just feel like that might train you to be able to hold back more when you have a knee-jerk reaction. Just something I've heard a few times, this kind of thing, and one of the reasons that I think a lot of people get into meditation is for this. So Allahu A'lam, that's just kind of what came to mind.
I suppose the core is going to be the pondering over your purpose in life, because I've noticed that when you focus on why we're here, then it kind of melts away a lot of the superficial struggles that you face. I said me and my wife were talking about this yesterday. It was like it's like going into an exam, right, and getting a difficult question crop up, and then being so angry with that question and shouting at the teachers and stressing over it that you fail to answer the question, and then you run out of time. You know, and ultimately, if you focus on what that question is, what you're there for, why you're sitting that exam, and what you can achieve by just getting it over and done with. Remain grounded when emotions overwhelm you, and obviously emotions are going to be triggered by something. So it's always going to be some sort of life event or some sort of feeling, some sort of trigger, generally speaking. But we were talking about this a lot yesterday. We said like, the life that you have in the dunya that we give so much importance to is less than a drop in the ocean of your entire existence. If you start thinking about death as more of just a milestone in your life as opposed to the end of your life, because I think we have adopted this concept of death being like the end, right? We adopt that anyway. We fear death. We're like, death is, oh, that's it, it's over. When actually, there is never a moment in your entire existence where you do not experience something, right? So you are conscious through death, you are conscious through the qabr, and you are conscious through the Yawm al-Qiyamah, and you are conscious in Jannah or Jahannam. So there is no period of like nothingness and then there's something, There's always a consciousness, which means that ultimately this life that you're living is a drop in the ocean. So these emotions that you're feeling, these issues that you're dealing with, these triggers that are setting you off are very, very minuscule and just mere moments in your entire existence. So much so to the extent that, 1 billion years from now, it's nothing but a distant memory, right? 100 billion, 100 trillion, a quadrillion, million, trillion years from now, Lord knows if you'll even remember the dunya as much as you're experiencing it now, Maybe if you're, Allah najina, if you're in Jahannam, you'll constantly be thinking about the dunya through billions of years, because you'll always be thinking, I wish I went back, I wish I could go back, I wish I could go back. But imagine if you're in Jannah, you might think of the dunya immediately at the beginning. This is, as the Quran sort of highlights, you're given certain fruits and you say that, oh, this is familiar to me, this reminds me of something I was given in the dunya, right? But who knows, in billions and billions of years in Jannah, are you still going to be thinking about the dunya after you've experienced so much? Allah knows best. But we give it so much importance, and we think that this is the be all end all, when actually it could be snatched away from us at any moment. The struggles that we're experiencing are the questions that we have to answer. The feelings that we're thinking about, the things that upset us, they are just momentary tests. The dunya is not meant to be a place of constant comfort. It's meant to be a place of hardship. But you know what? From the mercy of Allah, we do have times of comfort, don't we? And we do have times of pleasure, and we do have times of happiness. So that shows you how merciful Allah is, because there is no happiness during an exam, is there? Usually, you're sat in an exam and it's all stress, generally speaking. But that just shows the mercy of Allah. He could have made this entire thing stress, because it would have been, okay, be patient. But actually, no, there are moments of good, there are moments of bad. And even
there's that dua that I don't know, it might be from the Sunnah. I always hear it in like qunut and stuff. Allahumma la taj'al ad-dunya akbara hammina. Don't make the dunya our biggest concern. That's kind of like in line with what you're saying.
I think that's why I try to remind myself constantly, especially now that, I think as I've increased my reading of the Quran, I've been a lot more conscious of that every day, because you get to a level when you start thinking, subhanAllah, these sounds I'm making, reciting the Quran, this is what the Prophet ﷺ must have just heard, when it, nazala alayhi, it was sent down to him, which would have been an incredibly humbling and spiritual experience to just have something so magnificent, heavy and magnificent, and huge, really, land on him and be revealed to him. So imagine how that made him feel, and suddenly he's got an ulu al-himma, so to speak. He's got a lofty aspiration. He's got something that's more important than the dunya, and that's continuously, that's what his focus is, because that is now his reality. The reality is, the veil has been lifted. This is it. This is what the dunya is all about. Instead of soul searching and trying to figure it out, this is it. So it's about constantly reminding yourself that, and maybe that can be achieved by constantly reading the Quran and constantly sort of engaging in the deen. But
yeah, like basically what he's saying is that moment or that thing that triggers you, like just put it into perspective, put it into the right place in your life. Like how important is that? And I guess also it depends what this emotion is. But if it's anger, then the Prophet ﷺ gave us specific advice for that, which is make dua, like sit down if you're standing up, lie down if you're sitting, and sorry, did I say dua? I mean wudu. Do wudu,
right, yeah.
pray to rak'ah stuff. That will help with anger, I think. And then also salah ala nabi, because the Prophet ﷺ said, I think this is the correct wording, man salla alayya salatan sallallahu alayhi biha ashara. So whoever sends salah on me, which basically saying like Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, that is a dua asking Allah to send salah on the Prophet. And what is salah? I mean, I don't feel qualified to explain that, but I think it's some level of tranquility and peace, right? So the hadith says that if you send salah on the Prophet, then Allah will send salah on you 10 times. So that is something that I heard somewhere sometime, okay? And when I used to feel anxious when I was going to work, I used to just do it again and again until it reduced that anxiety. And I think it worked well, mashallah.
There's so much that through the rahmah that through the rahmah of Allah through the Prophet ﷺ, as he is the mercy to mankind, there's so much that is been given through him to sort of aid with this as well. It's almost like once again, it just shows you that rahmah. You've got this exam that you're sitting and you've got all the answers as well. You've got this exam you're sitting, you've got all the sort of tips and tricks, so to speak, and the methods that will get you through the difficulties that you arise. And we'd be silly not to obviously use that and engage in that. But once again, we get tempted with different things, don't we? We get distracted. But ultimately, it's about bringing yourself back to that, because you do get caught up. Definitely get caught up with the dunya. You get caught up with, the things that you need, the things that you feel you need for other people, your responsibilities, and then the stresses on top of that, and comparing yourself to other people and other people's successes and other people's situations. Yeah. And it honestly is. It's just constantly, there's a constant barrage of stuff that shaitan and shayateen are trying to put in your mind and keep you busy with, so to speak. But that's it really. I think even if it helps 5% or 2% or 1%, it's helping, isn't it? And I think if it helps a little bit, then it's just something you have to engage in deeper and deeper for it to help even more. Until you never know. One day you could be an absolute zahid and divorced from the dunya completely, from that kind of thought process. And I think that's how they do it. They do it because they completely engross themselves in that concept of this dunya is, it's like the Prophet ﷺ in the hadith where he said, this dunya is like, I'm paraphrasing obviously, it's like a traveller who takes shade under a tree for a short while and then gets up and carries on his journey. And if this dunya is merely about a tree that you take shade in, then imagine what else there is.
Yeah, definitely, man. I was just remembered, I was, for this Islamic studies program thing I'm doing, we had to read a book. What book was it? I think it was Raqa'iq al-Quran by Sheikh Ibrahim al-Sakran. Funny surname, isn't it? Like, where do you get that name from?
Allah knows best.
That means drunk, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyone's in the Sheikh's family name is drunk. Anyway, I think it was from this book, and he was quoting someone else. I don't remember who it was, but he said, "Show me a man whose silences have been preserved." Show me any other man where his silences were the thing, like, were being preserved. That alone, like, for a lot of these things don't hit me hard. That hit me hard. That was like,
That's because you're a podcaster, bro. Everything you say is recorded. Do you know what I mean? Not only are you judged by Allah, but we're judged by the people, bro. You got it all up there to see. SubhanAllah. Gotta be careful. That's what I'm saying. Gotta be careful, bro. You can't just delete those episodes, otherwise it looks weird. Like, where's episode 97? Where's that gone? Hypothetically, I don't know what episode 97 is, but yeah. I think it's. Well, can you comfortably look back at your old stuff? Like, I can't even play these podcasts after we upload them. That's why I don't edit them anymore. You know, when I'm looking for clips to put, I'm like, oh no, I can't deal with this. I hate hearing myself, or especially hearing myself in front of other people. So, like, if my wife's here and I'm trying to replay it just to find a clip, I can't deal with it. I have to get them to leave. I can't deal with it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but you know, for the podcast, I actually don't feel like that at all.
Really?
I feel quite good about most of what I said on the podcast, I think.
I have a better time listening to you again because...
Yeah, obviously that's always the way, yeah. But
I've noticed even like, you know, the subtitles, the closed captions that we do, they are like 99% accurate when it comes to you. And then when it's me, probably because I speak too fast, it's just really struggles. So I have to do a lot more editing with that.
I do speak slowly.
Exactly. Compared to me, you definitely speak a lot slower, which is nice. I'm trying to employ that, but I can't. It just feels weird. When I try and do it, it's very sort of, I feel like I'm really forcing it. Yeah.
You know what? I never knew that I spoke slowly until I went to uni, and they're like, "Damn, you're slow." They used to like call me the stoner because they say that I'm talking so slowly.
Oh no!
But you know what? Without me like realizing that I even speak slowly, you know what speaking slowly does? It makes people feel like you're so confident. And like maybe that's like a bonus of accidentally just happening to speak like this. But on one hand, though, it would make people feel like you're confident. On the other hand, you know, in this world of like 30-second clips, they might be like, "Come on, get to the point."
Lots of jump cuts for your videos.
Yes.
This is it. I think maybe because I'm used to getting cut off all the time, so I feel like I have to say what I need to say really quickly before people lose interest. I've got to capture their attention. Right, we've got another one. I got a message on Instagram. I'm doing the ones that are quite here and there because
fresh. Are these fresh ones?
Well, they're not typically the way we get.
I just reported an email as spam.
It was. Bro, we get some awful like YouTube comments, proper spam ones. So I try and report those if I get a chance. Right. I don't even know if they've got a name. Have they got a name? Let's ignore the name for now. It's from Instagram. Salam, guys. I've been following you on Spotify for a while now, and I love your content. Wow. Spotify. We're up there with the Rogans. It's so realistic and sensible on how Muslims in this day and age are supposed to live their lives. Wow. See, this is problematic, bro. Supposed to live their lives. Like, that makes us an authority figure telling people how to live their lives. No. Don't get it twisted.
We suck.
We're just discussing ideas. Okay. I wanted to get some perspective on your end. I just graduated university and I've been feeling empty for the past few weeks, especially with the job market being very rough during the pandemic. How am I able to stay focused and not become indulged into material items in the world? Wow, it's almost like we've just answered this question with the same thing we said before.
Kind of. But you know, that emptiness, I think I feel that. I relate to that.
So you're going to say, buy this booklet that I have made and it will tell you how to get a job.
No.
No?
No, I'm just saying.
Invest in yourself.
I can remember Yani that time.
That's what a lot of people do, no? They invest in themselves during that sort of difficult job sort of.
I was going to say that, but just like, you know, when you're like at uni and you've been doing something for 3 years or 4 years even, you kind of get into a routine where it's like, okay, I go uni, I take notes, and then I have assignments, and then exam, and then library, and you just do that, bro. The same thing for 3 years, and before that in school, you're doing the same thing for year after year after year, and but then after you finish uni, like no 1 year is the same, is it? Like, I mean, you do have some, level of routine, but maybe I'm just talking about myself. No 1 year is the same, but I do feel like it's much less like predictable and structured. And so you can imagine, like, after 3 years doing the same thing, now it's almost like, oh, you're not thinking of September going back to uni. Now it's like, oh, like all that structure's gone. So I can imagine like feeling lost because of that. And in a way, I like this idea, because it means that you weren't programming yourself throughout uni, where it's like you've got this very clear cut career path after uni. I'm going to do this, then this, then this. And I feel like, just to, go opposite to what everyone else does, I feel like it's cool to kind of have that space of like possibility, rather than following again, like another, you just finished 3 years uni, now you do 2 years graduate program, and then this, and it's, I don't know, it feels quite programmed, quite.
I do feel like the question's like, it's a bit all over the place though, because he says, so he's just graduated, he or she, I don't know, but they've graduated feeling empty for the past few weeks, especially with the job market. So they're feeling empty, but then I'm assuming they're struggling with finding a job.
Yes.
But then it says, how do I stay focused and not get indulged into material items in the world? Are they countering each other? I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the material thing, but maybe it's like, when you don't have a job, and you're not at uni, you do get, and you don't have kids, you have that temptation to like, just buy stuff and just like consume stuff, maybe.
Okay.
I think that could be referring to.
So are they saying like they want to stay focused on trying to find something to do?
I guess, I mean, I don't know exactly, but what I think they should do is get a routine, get some level of routine, whether that includes exercising, reading Quran, volunteering, I would say exercising, applying for jobs, specific amount of jobs per day at a certain time of day. Like, have some level of routine, right? That is what's gonna, give you that kind of feeling of focus.
I would also like find something that you're interested in, even like something productive that you're interested in on a sort of quote unquote possible hobby level, and like do a course on that. For example, like for me, I during my sort of time or whatever, when I was struggling to find something else, I started getting back into graphic design again, and then I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity to sort of find any courses or find videos that I could teach me some new skills with it. And through that, I did learn. I could do a lot more. I could really do a lot more, but I did learn definitely some new skills that I then used to create more things and expand my skill set in that field. And then I did get sort of work opportunities through that, because I was making stuff and putting it out there. So there's all sorts of things that people are into, and they never find a time to sort of do it, because you're not going to find a time while you're at uni, and you're not going to find a time while you're working full time. So this might be a good opportunity to be like, oh, actually, this is a good time. Oh, I'm really into X, Y, Z. I'm really into 3D animation. I'm really into, motion graphics or graphic design, or I don't know, even stock market or whatever it is, anything, and just be like, oh, this is a good time to sort of try that whilst I'm looking for work.
Even something a bit more major, like learning to code.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's all sorts out there, and anything, like, it doesn't have to be something super like employable, but if you just do it, embark on that course, and number one, you have a bit of a routine, you've got something to do, and number two, you'll be surprised with how much you'll learn and what you can actually do sort of freelance based on that. The Muslim community, at least online, is always exploring new arenas, and there's always going to be people that want a skill that not everybody sort of has. I've had people come up to me digitally, at least, and say, oh, your work is, I've never seen anybody with work like yours, so to speak. And I'm not trying to big myself up, because I definitely follow people that do work that is very much breaking the boundaries of what typically Muslim sort of artists do. So I follow those people, and whenever someone says that to me, I'm like, oh, you should check out all these guys that I follow. They actually do really amazing work. That's very different to just the typical, I don't know, no offense to anyone who does that, but like calligraphy and sort of mosaic art and that kind of thing. Exploring new arenas. So yeah, definitely. I think this is a good opportunity, Mr. Instagram follower.
Even if it takes a year, bro, because it's not, you know, crazy to imagine not getting a job for 6 months or something. So, you know, I've definitely had times in my life where I wasn't at uni and I didn't have a job for like 9 months maybe.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that time is so golden, you know, like because of the reason you mentioned. It's so golden, man. And instead of, you can easily get into this feeling of just, oh, what am I doing in my life? Depressed, this. But if you have a routine, and if every day you feel like you're doing something you're interested in and you're making bits of progress, even if those bits of progress are, you know, stuff that's not related to career, like stuff that's like, okay, I read Quran today, I got more ajr today, therefore that's the purpose of my life, right? And therefore I'm making progress just because I did that.
If you
I
look back
exercised, I cooked, I whatever.
Exactly. If you look back at all the things that you may have started like 10 years ago and never finished, now look at yourself now. Like I was thinking, when was the first time I ever went into a gym, you know, and started sort of training? And I remember it was maybe going to be 10 years ago, more or less. So just over 10 years ago, exactly. Because I started when I was about 17, and I'm almost 28. So, and I was thinking, and you know, I had periods of being consistent, you know, a year at a time. And I thought, oh, imagine if I'd stayed consistent for those whole 10 years, you know. And I thought, oh, I'd be in such good shape now. But then it makes you think about everything else that you might have started and everything else that you could have done. So then, on top of that, you then think, okay, what are the next 10 years going to look like? What could I do now for the next 10 years, so to speak, and then in 10 years' time be like really highly achieved? Yeah. I've got an incredible ringing in my ear. I wonder what that means. It's not from my headphone. It's just like my own self.
Emitting EMP.
Oh, wow. But I think hopefully that... yeah, it's going a bit now. But hopefully that helps. I mean, I know it's not the best answer, but also to add to that is the answer that we said before. It's about re-evaluating your purpose and not losing hope in that, because you realise that it is a test to not find a job. It is a test to be financially challenged, so to speak. All of these things. And once again, like, how many times do we have to say it? But I always try again and again to remind myself that there's people out there with so much worse going on comparatively, you know. I've been putting out clips like that on my Instagram just to remind people and to show people that there are people that are, you know, I said, you know, half your age but twice your struggle, you know. There's people out there there's kids out there just in war zones and seeing people murdered, and they have no future that you can see. And it's like, I'm complaining about my car's run out of fuel, or, you know, I've got chocolate. Like the other day I was complaining about my kids just absolutely trash the back of the car because they're always eating in the back of the car, right? And I'm like, I haven't cleaned it and I don't know when I'm going to clean it, and I get a bit stressed out when it's like that. And I'm like, you know what am I complaining about? You know, what's that compared to subhanAllah, the things that are going on in the world? And that's what I mean about getting caught up in the little things of the dunya, because that's the level that we set ourselves of acceptability. Like, oh, I deserve to have this, I should have a car, I should have a house, I should have it, because we put ourselves on the same pedestal as our peers, so to speak, as opposed to looking at those that are a couple of steps away from us and they slipped into a certain type of lifestyle or a certain type of quality of life. That's the word I'm looking for. So it could all be taken away from you in a moment, and then what will you be complaining about? You know,
that word deserve has reminded me, actually. Last week, I was with my partners. We were writing some new ads, and we wrote that phrase of, you know, something like charge the prices or command the prices that you deserve. Yeah. And then I looked and I thought, that's not right, man. We shouldn't be saying that. Like, you know, non-Muslims say that all the time, but that's not a Muslim thing to say. I can't really describe why, but like, I think anyway, from a, you know, what we believe point of view, we don't believe that we deserve whatever blessings we have per se. And even the blessings can be a gift or a curse, right? So I just wanted to say that because that's like a little bit of an insight into how like a Muslim marketer should be doing things differently to, just someone without that perspective.
This reminds me of a big debate that I got into the other day. It's a bit long-winded, but it does link in. So it's essentially about parking tickets, right?
Okay.
And parking permits, and I don't even know if the brothers listen to this podcast. They probably don't, so we'll probably never come across them. But anyway, somebody got a ticket in one of my friend circles. Someone got a ticket for parking in a private parking bay, which doesn't belong to them. It belongs to whoever owns the land. Okay. Now, they asked, what should we do? Should I pay it? Do I have to pay it? Can they enforce it because it's private? It's not like the government or the council or whatever. I said, my advice was, number one, I don't think they can force it. They can't force it upon you, but they probably can take it to court about it if they've got evidence that you're there. But number two, I said, ultimately, as Muslims, if we're aware that we've done that, and we know that it's not our land, and we know that we've done it deliberately, and we're on someone else's property, we've seen the sign, we've seen the warning, and we've done it anyway, and then we get surprised when ultimately we should just pay that because we know we're in the wrong. Anyway, that set off a whole sort of debate because people were saying, I don't know, I think there's certain brothers in the group that are they've got a particular flavour, so to speak, of Islam where it's like, if it's a Muslim, that's fine, but if it's a non-Muslim, then do what you want, sort of thing. And I'm not really too keen on that. Where it's like, if it's a Muslim that you've oppressed them and you've parked in their space or whatever it is, in their property, then you shouldn't be doing that. You owe them. If it's a non-Muslims, then anyway.
Did they have any proof for that?
They got a fatwa from somewhere, and I got a fatwa from somewhere, and then it was like two fatwas butting heads, and I was like, I don't know.
Is there any actual proof?
I think it sounds familiar to me under a certain group of Muslims that would be the case, right? And they'll use certain sort of things about warfare, and they'll use sort of things. I'm like, I'm not at war with my neighbour. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this got me on thinking. Then someone else wrote, so this person has 2 cars, okay? But the council will only give him 1 permit. But for him, he's like, I need 2 cars. I'm assuming one is for his wife and one is for him. And he's like, they won't give me a permit. I get fined, so I'm not going to pay the fines. What's the alternative? And then this is what, taking it back to the deserving thing, right? I was like, subhanAllah, like, it made me think, like, we feel like, I said to them, look, if you can't, so you either pay for the fines, you either try and speak to the council to get 2 permits, okay, or you just give up on the second car. You just, I can't have it, okay? Those are my 3 options. Then he said to me something like, oh, you're just overly controlled, like you don't get it, you're overly controlled, right? Because I was just giving in, right? But ultimately what I'm trying to say is that for some reason, we just feel like we deserve these things. Like, I have 2 cars, so I have to have 2 permits, and I have to have 2 cars. That's just my life. That's how I have it. We can't say no to certain things just because we can't have it. And, there's people that in London, for example, they don't have cars because of these reasons, so they use public transport. But it doesn't suit some of us. We don't think that it's suitable. Like myself, if I didn't have this car, then yes, it would be difficult for me. I'd have four family members to sort of take around and carry around everywhere. However, there are alternatives. If I can't afford something, then I shouldn't feel like I deserve it. And there's people out there that probably deserve more than me, but they don't have those things. So what makes me, shout and scream at the world because things aren't going my way? That's ultimately what I'm trying to say. It's that entitlement. But that entitlement has spread over into many things, into over comfort, that we are in disbelief when things go wrong. So everything's a conspiracy when things go wrong. If something bad happens to me, then there's someone's either out to get me, the government out to get me. There's no way that this is natural. This could have happened. And I've noticed that we live in extreme comfort. That it's like when
refuse to lower our standard.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like my washing machine had a bit of a the thing the other day where it kind of broke, and I was just like, initially, like, you get this urge, like, oh, that's not right. How am I going to wash? I was like, what am I talking about? Like, this is all luxury, bro. This is, compared to some people, everything I'm living in is luxury.
Yeah.
So why am I getting stressed over things that don't go wrong? You know, and you got to remember, like, subhanAllah, from the mercy of Allah, things go right 90% of the time. You know, like, look at the room that you're in, and all the technology you have, and all the amenities that we have. They work 90% of the time, and it's just that 1% where Allah tests you. We lose it straight away. We're just like, nah, can't deal with that. So it just makes you think, subhanAllah. And, you know, I see videos of, I know it's really cliche, but I see videos of people that live in absolute poverty, bro, and, you know, they've got water up to their knees in their houses, and, you know, they're sleeping with animals and insects and God knows what else. And, you know, of course, for the camera, maybe they have a smile on their face, but I'm sure sometimes they complain. But that's their norm. That's their everyday. Just like my everyday is to have the electricity work whenever I want. You know, the TV works whenever, the cooker works whenever, I've got heating, I've got...
Yeah.
You know, my family, alhamdulillah, are all healthy. They're all, you know, I have to deal with... You know, alhamdulillah, that's ultimately what we need to do. We need to really think of the blessings that we have. And when things start to stress us out, and when things are sort of... Because all we do is get caught up in the dunya, bro. Constantly. This entitlement thing is just an absolute disease within, I think, Muslims in general in the West, but maybe Muslims everywhere. It's like, I sometimes feel that way about, you see all these North African revolutions that are happening. You know, I can't say with my hand on my heart that I know what it's like there. You know, I can't say that. However, sometimes I do suspect that maybe we're just out in the streets protesting because there's this aura of entitlement. Like, oh, I deserve... Like, my dad will say to me in Tunisia, for example, they'll be like, they just feel like they deserve jobs, right? But they feel like they deserve particular jobs. So if you go to the fields where there is money to be made, for the time being, no, the men won't work it. Which is why the men are always in the cafes and the women are out there, you know, second, they're the ones working in the fields. And we spoke about this many times before. Because they feel like, oh, I've studied, so I'm entitled to only the best kind of job. It doesn't matter, I've got all these degrees and stuff, but no way am I going to be seen down there in the fields. I'll leave that for the other people, you know, the uneducated people. But at the same time, whilst doing that, it's like, oh, I'm going to go protest in front of the government building because I want more money. I want more benefits, or I want more this, or I want more that. So it's the entitlement thing, I think, for everyone maybe in the world, but also for us, because it's more important that we get that right for the sake of Allah. We need to get that in check. Definitely need to get that in check.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm very passionate about this topic as well. It's like... it's responsibility as well, like just taking responsibility for what you chose to do. You chose to park there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's
Definitely.
like they say, you know, that's your L. Take the L.
Yeah.
Don't try and give it away. It's your L.
You know, I see it sometimes in Jum'ah, right? And how many times do we go to Jum'ah where the imams are warning the brothers to park responsibly, to be, you know, considerate for neighbours, etc. And you know, it's awful because you come out sometimes as a parking warden giving a ticket, and you just see a brother just kicking off at this parking warden in front of everybody, and it's just like, wow, this is what we're about. Like, you know full well that that's what you're doing. You know what the rules are, and unfortunately we have this very like tunnel vision mentality where we don't understand that rules and regulations are there for the betterment of entire society, not just to inconvenience you.
That's very narrow.
Yeah, and I admit, of course, I fully admit that, you know, I broke rules sometimes, and I've you know, taken shortcuts and stuff like that. But when you start thinking about the cohesiveness of society, like for example, speeding, right? How many brothers do we know with nice cars, mashallah, that just drive like idiots, and they think they're entitled to do so because they've got a fast car? But then if your sister or your mother gets knocked over, you'd be wishing that the rules were enforced a bit more. And the thing is, we're all confident in our ability to drive, right? Alhamdulillah, I've never had an accident in my life, but I know brothers that have, you know. I've never bumped into anyone, nothing. You know, I've been driving since I was maybe 10 years, actually. Yeah, around about 10 years. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. But once again, it's like, you know, 9 times out of 10, I don't drive like an idiot. And I lose it with people that do drive like idiots. As soon as I go to London, for example, people are just undertaking me like 100 miles an hour. I've got kids in their back, and I'm like, subhanAllah, your ignorance and your arrogance of just... It's not even about getting somewhere quickly. It's just about driving like an idiot to show off, and that sort of... You know, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran... just to paraphrase, like do not walk on the earth with haughtiness or with arrogance, right?
No,
It's that sort of thing. It's like that, but with driving, because if you're blasting your base, at number 11, and you're sort of swerving in and out of people with your BMW and Mercedes or whatever it is, that's what it is. It's just clear arrogance. Nobody there is impressed. If anything, you're putting everybody's lives in danger just so you can, let off some steam or whatever it is. So I think a lot of my friends call me like really boring and really sort of like old man for thinking like that.
Yeah.
But ultimately...
Yeah, definitely, bro. Yeah, that's you, yeah.
But ultimately, look, I think it's...
Like, so be it, if that's what it takes to be responsible.
But there's a double standards, I think, with Muslims, bro. We sit in the masajid. I think lots of us, we sit in the masajid. We speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We speak about being the best of Muslims. We speak about being the best of nations and the best people on this earth, right? And then we go out there and we just cut corners with so many things. Yeah. We cut corners because we feel like we're entitled to. We cut corners because we feel like we can cheat the kuffar. It's fine to cheat the kuffar, right? With everything. Whether that's tax dodging, and I'm not getting into the halal and haram of tax as an essence, but all these sort of things, like just not being upfront people, not being people that we can rely on. Like, why is it when you go and look to buy something, if you see a Muslim name, you feel a certain type of way? Because you know yourself what you're like. You go and see a car, you go on I don't know, Facebook or Gumtree or whatever, you're like, oh, there's a car here, let me see. Oh, it's Abdullah. In that case, I'm not interested anymore. Why is that? It's because of the sort of reputation we've set for ourselves. SubhanAllah.
Yeah, bro. I remember when these kind of concepts, for example, of taking full ownership for everything that you do, right? Full ownership and responsibility. Meaning that even when things go well and it wasn't your fault, you still take responsibility for it. Like, it wasn't my fault, but I could have done this.
Yeah,
right? That's what I would call that full ownership. This concept is something that I did actually learn from reading these kind of self-help books. It really did ingrain it in me, as well as this idea of entitlement, right? And entitlement being just full-on disease, bro. And I remember I had a phase where I was just like, I was living with my parents and stuff at the time, and it's just like, whenever someone complains, I'm like, yeah, but are you entitled to that going your way? And I was just saying it to myself and to others, and just like, it was a phase, and since then, I'm not saying it always, but I'm trying to always just think like, that didn't go well, but who said it should have gone well? Like, why are you assuming it should have gone well? And so there are two things. There's the responsibility and there's the entitlement. Responsibility, someone told me last week, they said, I got a speeding ticket for £800 and 6 black points. Okay. How fast do you have to be going in England for that? Like,
I didn't know that there was
way over the...
I'm not too clued up on speeding because a lot of it is automatic, isn't it? It's not something that you generally do individually. But I know for example, like using your mobile phone is like £200 and 6 points. So yeah, I'm sure it sounds like it'd be ridiculous. Yeah. But
they were telling me I got fined £800, and then later, someone told me that if you dispute it and you say, well, can you just show me the picture where I'm the one driving, then it kind of can't be upheld because they can't prove it.
But the thing is, that it was you.
Yeah, and then it's like they're like, oh man, if only I knew that before. Now it's too late, and I'm like, take the L, you said.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Exactly.
Like literally, if that was me, I'm obviously not perfect, but in this area, it's like, I just feel like so basic, You chose to speed, You chose to speed, and you got fined, and khalas, take it. Take the consequences.
Yeah. There's this distinction, I think, that annoys me, that, if it's shari'an, and if it's halal and haram, then I'm 100%, going to conform. But if it's something outside of that realm,
how is this not Shara'an, bro?
But this is it. I think people have this very limited knowledge of what Sharia is. Okay, yes, there's Shara'i hudud, there's Shara'i rulings, there's Shara'i hukum for certain things, but nobody can admit that if you were to live in a Sharia country in this modern age, and let's say it was 100%, everything was ruled by Sharia, you would still have traffic laws, you would still have red lights, you would still have all these things.
So what you need me to tell them, la darara wa la dirar, or something like? They need me to quote like why not to speed and potentially kill people?
It's just ridiculous, bro. And I ultimately, like I said, it's something as simple as being cut up in traffic just drives me insane. I don't do it to other people, and I despise it when people do it to me. When like there's this particular road in London, akhi, where there's always traffic, right? And all it is because there's two lanes. There's a lane that goes straight ahead. There's a lane for people to turn right. Okay, right turn only. So what do people do? I'm waiting to go ahead like everyone else. People go in that right lane because not that many people turn right. They go all the way to the end of the right lane, and then at the end they turn in. They turn in left to join us again.
Yeah.
And I've stopped people doing it. I've shouted at people who are doing it. But ultimately, it's like you're not any more important as I am. We're all trying to get here. If we all worked cohesively and went in the same direction, the only reason there's traffic is because people keep cutting in. Do you understand? So it's actually they're the cause of the problem in the first place. But I just feel like I think it's silly. People say to me, Yanni, oh, you're being too silly, you're being too extreme. But I honestly worry sometimes that these are things I could easily be questioned about. And I think ultimately it would be. These are things that you're oppressing other people. Especially going back to that parking thing, subhanAllah. I said to the brother, what if I park my car in your driveway and then I've inconvenienced you? And I know that I have. Then what? Do you understand what I mean? There's no difference between you doing it. Actually, once again, there was a thing about got some fatwa from some sheikh, and the sheikh, whoever it was,
fatwa doesn't change anything.
Yeah, but this is it. It's like ultimately, he had this perspective before he got the fatwa.
Obviously.
Okay, because originally I said get a fatwa from your sheikh then if you're going to disagree, and he said I'm not going to do that. It's a silly question. Okay, which means you already held your position. Then you've gone and found something that suits your position. Do you understand? Because your initial position shows your nafsiyyan, because you didn't go down the route of trying to prove it with knowledge initially. You said, this is what I do, I'm not going to find a fatwa, which also means this is my nafs, this is what I desire. Of course I want to continue breaking these kind of rules that don't mean anything, subhanallah. But they all do. And ultimately, whether you like it or not, any sort of dealings that you have with people, whether they're Muslim, whether they're kafir, ultimately you're going to be questioned about it if you've oppressed someone. You can't just go up there, especially this distinction between drawing between Muslims and kuffar in a place where you're living in peace and harmony together, so to speak. That's I know that I am aware that there is there's rulings and there's a separate sort of notion when it comes to in times of war, etc. That's something that I haven't looked into too much because I wouldn't consider myself at war with Margaret across the road. Do you understand what I mean? No, I live here and I eat here and I drink here and I'm so quote unquote at peace here, as in I pray and do you understand? I'm not being oppressed by people. So it doesn't mean that it's like I can take my cake and eat it. I can't live in peace, harmony, and and protection, and also take particular rulings of war against people at the same time.
Anyone, bro, in any culture, they will take that example. They'll say, "Look, that's not ethical." No matter where their ethics come from, whether it's from, Buddha, Batih, their head, Islam, Christianity, they'll say, "Look, you're trying to benefit from a system while also going behind its back to get what your benefit. That's not right." But anyone will say that. Anyone will say that. This is the thing, bro. Like, look, if you want to go down that route of you're at war, that's fine. But you have to go and actually announce you're at war. Go and announce it, so everyone knows that you're at war with them, right? And then, then at least they know where you stand in society, right? So you're at war, so then maybe they'll put you in prison, maybe they'll deport you, maybe whatever. But you know what I mean? Take the benefits and the negative consequences, like a man,
It's silly, but look, this is a rampant sort of thing that even subconsciously we don't realize, because we think, oh, it's a non-Muslim thing, it's a kafir rule, it's a kafir war, it's a not war, sorry, it's a regulation, it's this regulation or that regulation or whatever it is, or it's oppressive or whatever. I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to do it, you know. And yeah, of course, I'm not saying that non-Muslims don't do that. Of course, non-Muslims break rules and stuff and whatever. But ultimately, when there's certain things, you have to actually start thinking really deeply. Is this something that's going to come and bite me back Yawm al-Qiyamah? Like, and I know people just think, oh no, of course it won't. I think people default to the of course it won't way more than they default. But this is it. The default is like, we draw a line because we're such a conservative and exclusive society. Like, the Muslim society is one that doesn't necessarily integrate, so we assume that anything outside of it isn't that important and isn't part of the sort of the questioning sort of criteria, right?
But you'll be questioning about absolutely everything.
And I think this is it. This is what we don't tell ourselves again and again and again. You know, something as small as like we said, cutting someone up in traffic. Right? I see that as something like, I've oppressed that person, I've irritated that person, I've done something to that person that they didn't want to be done to them, knowingly, you know. I've said, oh, do you know what? If I cut past all these people that are queuing up and then I just jump back in, I can get to where I want to go quicker. Right, well, but when that's done to me, I get angry, you know. So what have you done to other people? And then on top of that, not trying to say that, oh, everybody's going to become Muslim, but on top of that, you're visible Muslim, and you've done that, and now you've shaped somebody's image of what Islam is. You know, not that we always must be pandering. Of course not. We're not pandering all the time to people's perceptions of us. We do what's right. But when there's universal rights and wrongs, isn't there? And cutting off somebody or pressing somebody or angering somebody without any haqq, something there.
You see, the Prophet ﷺ, he was living in Mecca with people who were like his enemies, okay? And his conduct was still perfect, right? He did things properly, okay? When he wanted to go all out enemy, he went to war with them properly.
Yeah.
He went to war with them properly. I'm going to war with you, meaning I'm putting my neck on the line. I can get killed, and I might kill you as well. And it's like clear and open. But it's not like he was in Mecca doing these side deals where the backstab people are not, you know what I mean? And those people are, you know, are deserving maybe of that. But he didn't do that. It's crazy.
Okay, like one example, right? It's quite a bad one, but it's like when all these COVID sort of relief packages were coming out, and there was like these loans that the government were giving out. I think they were interest free or whatever. Yes. And there was Muslims, Akhi, that were just. I remember even in certain group chats that I was in, people were talking about it. Oh, if you make a limited company really quickly, then you can get £50,000 and blah 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 and all of this. And I was just like, what is? Like, because it's them, because it's a non-Muslim government or a non-Muslim whatever it is, it's fine. We just take. You know, we'll cheat the system. We'll take. Yeah. And then we go in the masjid and we cry our eyes out to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, hoping He forgives us when we're forgetting what we're dealing, how we deal with, you know, people in front of us, you know, other human beings.
I just feel like, I don't know, bro. Maybe other people were not raised like this, or I don't know. But for me, it's like, it's quite clear to me. Even without knowledge of the Sharia, it's clear what a person of integrity is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, like the person who they don't have double standards. They, you know, they try and do what they say, and they take when they try and do something wrong and they get caught, they just put their hands up, you know. Like, that's someone that anyone across culture and time, they'll respect the person. You know?
And I want to stop people from even thinking that it's fine you know, it's one thing parking somewhere, for example, and getting the fine and then saying, okay, I'll pay it. But it should be the parking it in the first place. Now, of course,
exactly. But by the way, that's me. Yeah. Like, I will park wrong, but when I get fined, I'll take it fully.
Yeah. I'll park wrong if I literally had no choice and I've got to get something really quickly, whatever it is. Like, do you understand what I mean? But ultimately, it's like for Jum'ah, right? I see that paying my parking ticket as a normal everyday citizen, like finding an adequate space and parking in it and coming to the masjid early, so to speak. I see that as fi sabilillah. People don't want to spend that money because they think, some people have argued to me, I could spend that money in charity. That £5 I pay for parking, spend it. I'm like, don't mess with me, bro. Don't mess with me, because I see that as fi sabilillah. I'm parking properly. to not inconvenience people, so I can comfortably get to. And number one, another thing, right? How messy does your khushu' get when you're worried about traffic warden outside? You can't focus.
Yeah,
You
bro.
cannot focus. If you've parked your car in a stupid way and you've gone into the masjid, you cannot focus, bro, because you're just constantly thinking, oh, how long is it going to be? Oh, this khutbah's going too long. Oh, I need to get out quickly. He's going to give me a ticket, blah, blah, blah. I see it all the time, bro. Some people jump up and run out halfway through the khutbah because they know the traffic warden's there. So it's, to save a couple of pounds. When actually, if you think about it, honestly, if you're doing it for the intention of, I want to focus more on my salah, I don't want to inconvenience people, etc., it doesn't matter where that £5 are going. Ultimately, you're doing it fi sabilillah, Or if you're really, really struggling, then flipping don't drive, get a bus, wake up early, do something different, Allah musta'an.
Yeah.
Allah
that whole limited company thing,
Yeah.
because I had a company open before the certain deadline, right? Because they weren't giving it to brand new companies, of course, because they worked it out. So apparently people were willing to buy those limited companies off you because they'll pay you 30k for it, and then they'll get a 50k loan from the government, and then they tell the government, oh, I can't pay it back, close the company down. They made 20k, so I could have done that actually, and I could have semi-legitimately done it. Like I could have actually used that for business reasons, of course. Maybe my business is not based in the UK, so it wouldn't have been a ethical thing to do. But yeah, that is a big one. But it's just like, I on the flip side, to be honest, bro, sometimes you can, in some situation where something is very hard to swallow, I can I can empathize with that. But what we're talking about here, I think, is these day-to-day little things where literally we're talking about paying £3 for parking or whatever, If you do that, right, you're willing to compromise your kind of what I hope would be your values, right? For saving £3, then you'll do it every day in all different forms. If, for example, though, if you were to you're trying to get something done, something that's going to be so major for your life, like buying a property or this and that, and then they're asking for a bribe or whatever, and it's like one-off kind of like literally there's no other way I can imagine ever making a living. I'm not obviously not but if they in that case were like under so much pressure and they don't know what else they're going to do with their life and this and that, for me that's like very different. But we're talking about basics.
We're talking about everyday things where you're fully aware that what you're doing is wrong. That's what it is. Like you've got complete awareness that you're doing this thing that is wrong, but because you've separated it from your deen, you think it's fine and you won't be questioned about it. That's the thing. Ultimately,
this is secularism. This is secularism. This is separating your public life from your religious life.
Yeah.
Well, what is that? That's nothing but secularism. That's the definition of secularism.
That's true. Anything that falls in the Shari'i perspective, like the Quran and Sunnah, the good deeds that we know about, then we're always on that and stuff. But anything that you can't find, you have to use quote unquote common sense for, then there's leeway in all of that.
Bro, these people, if they act like that and they're actually standing by what they're doing, they haven't even looked at 40 hadith of Nawawi, bro. Like that, those 40 hadith it'll be enough for them, to stop doing this. But we could go further, like when you're studying fiqh, the rulings of in Islam, what part is the biggest chunk, 2/3 of it? It's flipping mu'amalat. It's dealing with people. Not ibadah. Ibadah is a smaller part of fiqh. Mu'amalat is a big chunk, right? And it's dealing with people. So how can you say that's not sharia, that's not shari, that's not part of it? It is. And I was kind of different topic but kind of same topic. I was as part of this course I'm doing, that we had to read this book, which is Aqidah book, and it's done in a very good way, which I actually feel like after studying Aqidah in a few different ways, this is the way it should be done, where you basically I'm talking about for the beginner level, where you just go through Hadith Jibreel, right? Which is when Jibreel alayhi salam, he came and he went to the Prophet sallam in front of the Sahaba, and then he asked him about the basically that's where we know the pillars of Iman from. Okay. And then we know about the 3 levels, Iman, Islam, Ihsan, etc. And And the way he did this book is he just went through each pillar of Iman, like the basics, like what do we believe, and we have to believe this, and there's difference in this, and just very basic stuff. Yeah, the best bit, bro, of this, the best rukn of Iman, the best pillar of Iman that really was, he spent a lot of time on this in the book, and it's so powerful, is the Iman bil Yawm al-Akhir, right? The belief in the last day, right, and the judgment. And when you go through step by step, right, and this is why I think some people have recommended that if you want to like push your Iman and like take a big step, like the example they gave is, if a sister wants to start wearing hijab and she's finding it hard to really get there, then just literally read about the akhirah, like read about what happens after you die, and that will be a push. If you want to get out of riba, then do this. If you want to get out of a mortgage, push yourself, then just literally read about what happens Yawm al-Qiyamah. And interestingly, when Yawm al-Qiyamah starts, you've got the two trumpets, and then everybody's resurrected and they're brought to the it's like the Maidan, the Hashr, the place where everyone will stand. Okay, and that's where when Allah says it's 50,000 years, the standing there, and that's when the sun it's so hot and everyone starts sweating and people start drowning and this and that, and the sweat comes up to high and everything. Now this is when Allah will shade those 7 special people that he said he will shade on the day that there's no shade. Now the people who they're like going straight to Jannah, okay, at that point obviously they probably would be part of those shaded, firstly. Secondly, this is when they would get to go to the Prophet ﷺ and drink from his hawd, from his like pond or well or whatever, spring. On a day when it's so hot and everyone's sweating, and they can come and drink from his hand from the spring. And this is also the moment where those who are clean going to Jannah, no issues at all, they go straight, bro. They don't actually get to the point where they have to read their deeds. So they don't get individually questioned about every deed.
Yeah.
Okay, and this I think is in Surah Al-Haqqa, when the people that show their book in their right hand. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ, so the one who presents his book to Allah in his right hand, بِيَمِينِهِ فَيَقُولُ هَا أُمُقْرَأُ كِتَابِيَ, here, read the book, like you're proud of it. إني ظننت أني ملاق حسابي فهو في عيشة راضية في جنة عالية. So then they go Jannah. So those people, they're not actually have to go through every single thing they did, right? أما وأما من أوتي كتابه بشماله فيقول يا ليتني لم أوت كتابيا. The one who presents the book in the left hand, they're presented the book in the left hand, they have to go through every single thing, and they have to explain it and justify it and this and that. And if they won't explain it, out of fear, out of shame, out of whatever, then that's when their body will speak for them. And again, that's in the Quran as well. So everything will absolutely be questioned on absolutely everything. Absolutely.
It's these little things that we drown ourselves in that we don't realize as well.
Yeah, and if Allah, it's in a hadith where the goats, I think it's the goats who they were fighting each other. Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will settle that dispute. So if the goats are even going to settle, and you say a goat, that's like a completely instinctual thing that goats do, is they fight over mates or territory or whatever it is they do. It's instinct, it's not even a choice. So what about our choices? And we know Allah will bring us and he'll, get us to, you cut that guy off. Okay, now sort it out, because justice must be done today. That's why it's the day of justice. It's the day that justice is done.
And I think that's it. I think people find it easy to sort of say, I'm not going to backbite about Muslims or my Muslim brother, or I'm not going to steal from my Muslim brother, or cheat from my Muslim brother, whatever it is. But ultimately, even if someone's destined for Jahannam, they still have rights. They still have things that you can take from them.
Yeah, Allah can't forgive you for what you did wrong to that another person.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so much, and look, we deal with people all the time. We deal with people every day. Every time you step out of the house, you're dealing with people. Whether that's on the roads, in the street, on the bus, whatever it is. Like, and
how many interactions per day that could go against you?
And it's either for you or against you, isn't it? And I just, we should be living our lives like we always say, we should be living our lives like every day could be a last day, but also with what you've just said, with the Yawm al-Qiyamah in our mind. The judgment has to be constantly on our mind. Is what I'm doing now. I understand. Look, I understand. Yes, there's things between yourself and Allah and the worship that you have with Allah that ultimately they're things that you have choice in, right? How many nafil do you want to pray, or how many extra good deeds you want to do, and this is all between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether you're doing loads in it or not doing as much in it, as long as you're doing the obligation, fair enough. But with people, you don't necessarily have that choice. What you do is either for you or against you. Do you understand what I mean? You can't, choose, today I'm not going to treat this person well. I'm going to just backbite, but cheat this person today.
That's not voluntary, yeah.
That's voluntary, bro. You're obligated to do well with everybody all the time. You can't just pick and choose who you sort of do it with. And obviously there's rights that yourself have. It doesn't mean you have to speak to every single person you deal with. It doesn't mean you owe them anything necessarily, but I'm talking about taking from them, cheating from them, that sort of thing. So, I'm running out of time. I have to go and I have to do food shop before Maghrib.
This was a rant.
This was a rant, but it's been on my mind for so much, and that day really annoyed me because I'm just like, because I know this is a big situation, a big thing that.
Send him the podcast, bro. Send him the podcast.
Not just him, not him. No, may Allah bless him, and may Allah bless
may Allah bless him and guide him us.
All of us, but it's something that is prevalent within the entire Muslim community. It's not something that's isolated.
I mean, bro, I would say it's much worse with non-Muslims, but obviously we expect more from Muslims.
We expect more, but I expect more from Muslims that are like practicing and they fear Allah, and in all their ibadat they're amazing. But then I see a bit of an oxymoron.
Let me say this: if you're behaving in this way, right? Are you practicing?
This is it.
That's... Now you think about that.
You think about it. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. This is the end of the Mind Heist, episode 113. I think it's 113. Yes, I've told everybody I've been replying to this 113.
Yeah.
If you
Let
have
us know what you think about our rant. Let us know if you have maybe justification for why you would be naughty. It's interesting, let us know. And you can send that, go to mindheistpodcast.com to contact us anonymously or otherwise. Let us know about your Mind Heist challenge for Ramadan. How much have you pushed yourself charity-wise? Of course, you could do that anonymously. That would just be interesting to see, how people are pushing themselves. And what else? Yes, in the description there'll be a link to the video where I have my spreadsheet for you to give charity very easily. Just link all there, very handy. And with that, subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Sorry, not sorry. Assalamu alaikum.
Sorry, not sorry. Thanks, sit down.